You can feel it, can't you? That strange mix of peace and restlessness that doesn't make sense to the mind, but the soul knows exactly what it means. Something in the energy has shifted. The waiting doesn't hurt like it used to. The silence feels softer, almost sacred. And deep inside, there's this quiet whisper. It's almost over. This isn't another loop of hope and disappointment. It's different this time. You can feel it in your body. Your nervous system is calmer. Your emotions no longer control you. And even the memories that once broke you now bring understanding instead of pain. That's how you know the separation is reaching its end. The divine feminine has stopped chasing. She no longer asks, "When will he return?" Because somewhere deep inside, she already knows he's on his way. Not because of attachment, but because of alignment. She's not waiting anymore. She's preparing. Her peace has become magnetic. Her silence a signal, and her energy a mirror calling the divine masculine home. You've probably noticed the signs, dreams that feel real, numbers repeating everywhere, songs playing at the perfect time, waves of emotion followed by calm that feels infinite. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of two souls moving closer on the same frequency again. Meanwhile, the divine masculine is feeling what he can't explain. The distractions don't work. The noise doesn't numb him anymore. He feels her presence in the quiet, her forgiveness in his guilt, her love in his emptiness. That's how he knows. The cycle of running is over. He can't hide from what was written before time began. Every part of this journey, the pain, the silence, the confusion, was never punishment. It was purification. And now, both souls have reached the edge of something sacred. Completion. The feminine has found home within herself. The masculine is awakening to his truth. And the universe, after lifetimes of preparation, is whispering the same message to both. It's time. So if lately you've been feeling calm for no reason, if the anxiety has turned into surrender, if you feel the shift but can't explain it, don't doubt it. You're not imagining the change. You're standing at the threshold of reunion. This isn't the end of the story. It's the moment before everything falls perfectly into place. Because when separation has fulfilled its purpose, union becomes inevitable. You've felt it, haven't you? The stillness feels different now. It's not emptiness anymore. It's preparation. The silence no longer hurts. It feels like space being cleared for something new. Your soul knows the separation is not endless. Something invisible has already shifted. For so long, you walked through fire, You learned how to release, how to surrender, how to breathe through uncertainty. You begged for answers, but what you received was silence, not as rejection, but as sacred training. Every delay, every pause, every heartbreak refined you into peace. And now that peace has become your power. This is what the end of separation feels like. Not excitement, not chaos, but deep calm. You no longer need to ask when. You no longer chase the energy. You simply know. And that knowing changes everything. The universe has felt your surrender. The feminine collective has crossed a threshold where the heart no longer vibrates in fear. You've stopped trying to make things happen, and because of that, everything finally can. This is the paradox of union. Once you stop waiting, alignment begins. You're noticing the signs, not as obsession, but as confirmation, numbers, songs, déjà vu, that strange peace in the middle of uncertainty. They're not random. They're reflections of your own frequency, aligning with the higher timeline. You've moved from longing to resonance. You've stopped reaching outward and started radiating inward. Your emotional body feels lighter now. Old triggers fade. Old wounds stop bleeding. You may still remember the pain, but it no longer defines you. That's because your vibration no longer matches the frequency of separation. You've risen above it, and the masculine can feel it. His soul senses the difference, even in your silence. Your absence doesn't feel like rejection anymore. It feels like clarity. He feels the warmth of your peace and the weight of his own avoidance. The same energy that once chased him now stands still, unshakable. And in that stillness, his awakening begins. This is the real shift, the moment when your energy stops feeding the loop. You no longer react to his distance. You no longer question the journey. You've entered the frequency of trust, and that trust changes the entire connection. Because energy always follows leadership, and now you lead through peace. Your body knows this too. The waves of exhaustion, the bursts of lightness, the random heart flutters. These are not symptoms of confusion. They're signs of realignment. Every part of you is adjusting to a higher frequency where love doesn't hurt anymore. The separation isn't truly ending. It's completing. It's finishing what it was designed to do. Purify your energy so that the connection can exist in truth, not need. You no longer wait for a message, a sign, or a reunion to feel whole. You've become the wholeness. And that is the vibration that calls everything back to you. This is what the final stage of separation feels like. Still, sacred, irreversible. You've stepped into the calm that exists right before manifestation. It's not emptiness, it's alignment. The energy has shifted and you can feel it, not around you, but within you. And once that happens, the rest is only a matter of time. Something inside the divine feminine has changed forever. The ache that once consumed her has turned into stillness. The endless need for answers has quieted into knowing. She's no longer waiting for love to return. She has become it. This is the point of completion. You've walked through lifetimes in this single chapter. Every moment of silence taught you what words never could. You learned that love isn't proven by presence, but by endurance. You learned that real strength is not in holding on, but in letting go. And when you finally stopped reaching outward for validation, you found your own soul standing there, patient, radiant, whole. Completion doesn't look like fireworks. It feels like peace. It's when you realize that nothing outside you can define what already lives within you. You don't chase signs anymore because the confirmation has already arrived. You are the sign. This is the feminine in her highest embodiment, soft but untouchable, silent but magnetic. She's not numb, she's aware. She feels everything, but nothing controls her anymore. Her tears now cleanse instead of wound. Her silence now heals instead of hurts. That is divine maturity, when emotion becomes wisdom and love becomes vibration. You can feel it in your body, the release, the breath, the new rhythm. What once felt like emptiness now feels like expansion. You're no longer contracting around pain. You're expanding into truth. Your energy field has stopped leaking through attachment and started glowing through self-trust. You no longer crave connection to feel love. You radiate love, and connection naturally responds. Completion is when you stop trying to heal and start living healed. It's when you no longer define yourself by what happened, but by what emerged through it. The past stops being a reference and becomes a teacher. You forgive not to fix, but to free yourself. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's sovereignty, and the masculine feels it. He may not understand why, but something in him stirs when your energy shifts into peace. He senses the change. The pull that once came from longing now feels like gravity. It's not desperation calling him anymore. It's destiny. The feminine's completion awakens the masculine's remembrance. Your silence becomes his mirror. Your alignment becomes his compass. You might notice this through dreams, songs, or sudden emotions that aren't yours. It's the energy sinking again. The more you stand in your wholeness, the more his soul remembers its path back to truth. The journey was never about waiting for him to evolve. It was about evolving so your frequency could meet again. Have you felt that calm sense that you no longer need closure? That's the sign. You've already closed the old cycle without realizing it. The story that once felt unfinished now feels complete, even without words or explanations. That is the divine signal the universe has been waiting for. Because once the feminine stops seeking outside, the energy can finally return home. This stage may feel quiet, but it's not empty. It's full of preparation. The calm before the manifestation, the breath before the arrival. You may feel lighter, more grounded, less reactive. That's because your frequency has stabilized. You've become the calm center of the storm that once ruled your emotions. And from this point, everything begins to move. Because the universe aligns with certainty, not chaos. When your heart stops reaching, the field starts responding. Your peace is the permission the connection needed to move forward. The feminine has reached completion. Her energy no longer vibrates in fear of losing. Only in the certainty of becoming, she knows that what belongs to her will find her, not through effort, but through resonance. And that truth changes everything. This is not the end of her journey. It's the beginning of her mastery. The pain was never her enemy. It was her initiation. And now that initiation is complete, the divine feminine has risen into her final form, a woman who no longer waits for love because she has remembered that she is love. There's a silence surrounding the divine masculine right now, a silence that feels heavy, uncomfortable, and strangely sacred. He's pulled away from distractions, not because he doesn't care, but because the life he built around avoidance is starting to collapse. The things that once gave him control are losing their grip. The world he created to outrun himself no longer feels like home. This is the awakening through the void, the stage where the masculine must face what the feminine already conquered, the emptiness between who he was and who he's becoming. He's being stripped of illusions, forced to see the truth that silence had been hiding. It's not punishment, it's initiation. The void is where the soul speaks the loudest. And now, with nowhere left to run, he begins to hear it. The walls that once protected him are cracking, and through those cracks, light begins to pour in. It burns, it blinds, it humbles, but it also heals. He's being shown the weight of everything he suppressed, the guilt, the fear, the longing, the love he never allowed himself to feel. And for the first time, he can't numb it. You may sense his energy more than ever. Sudden sadness, random heart flutters, nights of restless sleep. Those are echoes of his awakening. He feels your energy differently now. The same presence that once triggered him now calls him home. Your peace, your silence, your wholeness, they all echo inside his spirit. He may not understand it, but his soul does. The void dismantles the false masculine, the one who believed strength meant detachment, that control meant safety, that love was weakness. Now life is showing him the truth. Every structure he built from fear is shaking. Careers, relationships, friendships, all of it being questioned. He's realizing that success without soul feels hollow, and comfort without purpose feels like exile. The masculine's awakening doesn't come through words. It comes through experience. He has to feel the weight of absence to remember the value of connection. He has to face solitude to rediscover what love really means. It's through loss that he learns the language of faith. At first, he resists. He blames circumstances, distance, timing, anything to avoid looking inward. But the energy no longer lets him hide. The feminine's vibration has shifted so high that his old defenses can't survive near it. He begins to feel her energy not as pressure, but as guidance. Her peace becomes a map. Her alignment becomes a reminder of what he lost and what he's meant to reclaim. This stage is sacred, but it's not comfortable. The masculine feels like everything is falling apart, and in a way, it is. Everything false must crumble so that truth can rise. He will go through moments of confusion, deep introspection, and sudden bursts of emotion that he can't explain. It's the soul remembering what the mind forgot. The feminine's role now is not to chase, but to hold space. Her stillness is medicine. The absence of expectation allows him to meet himself fully. Because when she stops pulling, he finally stops running. And in that stillness, the soul begins to find its way back home. The void teaches him surrender, the one thing he's always feared. He learns that control was never power, it was resistance. And when he lets go, even for a moment, he feels something he hasn't felt in lifetimes. Peace. This is the masculine's rebirth. He's not becoming someone new. He's remembering who he was before fear took over. He's realizing that the feminine was never a lesson to escape. She was the mirror meant to awaken him. The distance wasn't punishment, it was grace. Because only in losing her could he finally find himself. The void won't last forever, but while it does, It will shape him into a man who can love without armor. He will emerge softer, clearer, present. He'll no longer chase control. He'll seek connection. And when that moment comes, it won't be the old masculine returning. It will be the awakened one. There comes a sacred turning point in every twin flame journey, the moment when the energy begins to balance again. Not because words are spoken, not because messages are sent, but because the feminine and masculine have finally reached inner harmony. This is that moment. For months, the scales tilted. The feminine carried the emotional weight, while the masculine resisted the depth of feeling. She learned patience through pain. He learned truth through loss. And now both have begun to meet at the same energetic horizon. You can feel it. The stillness between you no longer feels like distance. It feels like alignment. The push and pull are dissolving. The chasing has stopped, not because anyone gave up, but because the frequencies have finally equalized. There's a new balance forming, quiet, powerful, undeniable. This stage is subtle, but it's divine. It's when the feminine no longer overgives, and the masculine no longer hides. It's when energy starts flowing both ways again, not from need, but from recognition. What once felt one-sided is now beginning to mirror. The universe orchestrates this balance with precision. The feminine has released the need to control the connection, and because of that surrender, the masculine feels safe to approach. Her peace becomes his permission. Her stability becomes his grounding. Her light no longer burns him, it guides him. In this new equilibrium, both energies evolve beyond old patterns. The feminine moves from healer to creator, from waiting to allowing, from hope to embodiment. The masculine moves from denial to awareness, from silence to expression, from avoidance to presence. Each one becomes the missing piece the other once searched for, not through dependency, but through reflection. You might notice it in dreams, music, or the way your energy feels more connected than before. The communication may still be silent, but it's no longer uncertain. You can feel his emotions as if they echo through your heart, not to haunt you, but to harmonize you. That's how energetic balance begins, through frequency, not action. The feminine now stands in her sovereignty. Her emotions are no longer storms, they're rivers of clarity. She can feel deeply without drowning. She can love fully without losing herself. Her compassion has boundaries. Her intuition has structure. She has learned that balance isn't about being soft or strong. It's about being both. And the masculine, He is learning to hold what he once avoided. Where he used to run, he now pauses. Where he used to numb, he now feels. His silence is no longer a wall, it's a mirror. He is beginning to understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it's freedom. For the first time, his heart feels safe enough to open. This balance doesn't appear overnight. It unfolds through small moments of awareness, the feminine choosing peace over reaction, the masculine choosing truth over fear. Every act of authenticity rebuilds the bridge between them. The connection feels lighter now. The tension that once defined it is fading. You no longer question whether you're moving forward. You can feel it in the flow of your days, in the synchronicities that now come without you seeking them. This is harmony taking form. The beauty of this phase is that it doesn't depend on reunion. It begins before reunion. Energetic balance always precedes physical alignment. Once both souls vibrate in mutual respect, peace, and inner stability, the external world has no choice but to mirror that truth. This is the quiet before reconnection, the pause between heartbeats. It's not the end of the journey, but the stabilization of it. The feminine no longer questions her worth, and the masculine no longer doubts his capacity to love. Together, they are rediscovering equilibrium. The universe smiles at this alignment, because when both energies rise equally, love stops being a lesson and becomes creation. This is the return of balance, the restoration of divine order between two halves of the same soul. It's not just harmony between two hearts. It's harmony between heaven and earth, spirit and form, energy and matter. And now that both are remembering who they are, the connection begins to breathe again. When energy balances in the higher realms, it begins to echo into the physical world. That's what's happening now. The reconnection, not forced, not planned, not logical. It unfolds naturally, quietly, through divine timing that no human effort could create. You don't chase it. You feel it approaching. The feminine begins to sense it first. The air feels charged again, not with anxiety, but anticipation. There's a warmth in her heart that doesn't come from memories, but from recognition. He's coming closer, not because she pulled him, but because the energy between them has magnetized. The polarity that once pushed now draws in. The separation that once hurt now begins to dissolve. Reconnection doesn't always start with words. Sometimes it begins with dreams, vivid, almost real. Sometimes it's a song that plays at the right moment, or a random thought that feels like it wasn't yours. Those are not coincidences. They're energetic checkpoints, each one marking that the bridge between you is active again. The masculine feels it too. He may not have the language for it, but something inside him is shifting. He thinks of you at strange hours. He feels emotions he can't explain. He looks at others and realizes no one mirrors his soul like you do. It's not longing, it's remembering. His spirit is recognizing home. This stage is delicate. The connection starts to rebuild, but it must do so through authenticity. Both of you have changed, profoundly, permanently. The feminine no longer needs saving, and the masculine no longer hides from truth. That's why this reunion can happen now, because both can finally meet as equals. The universe has cleared the path. Old cycles are closing quietly behind you. You'll start to notice divine synchronicities lining up with surgical precision, messages that arrive in perfect timing, meetings that seem accidental but aren't. It's destiny weaving its final pattern. But remember, the reconnection doesn't mean rushing. It means allowing. If communication reopens, it will feel calm, not chaotic. The energy will speak louder than words. The masculine will approach differently, not from guilt or fear, but from readiness. You'll hear it in his tone, see it in his eyes, feel it in his presence. The walls that once divided you will no longer hold power. The feminine's role here is to stay grounded. Your energy sets the tone. If you remain in peace, the connection remains pure. If you slip into fear, the old cycle can try to repeat itself. This is not a time to question, but to trust, to hold your vibration steady while the universe finishes aligning every detail. The masculine, too, is being tested in this phase. He must act from truth, not comfort. Every move he makes now carries spiritual weight. And though he may hesitate, the pull of destiny grows stronger each day. His higher self knows that this is not about romance. It's about purpose. Union is not just love, it's mission. You may begin to feel physical sensations when the energy peaks, heart pressure, tingling through the crown, warmth through the chest. That's the merging of frequencies as the connection bridges dimensions. The soul energy that once existed only in dreams is now descending into the human experience. He feels it too, even if he can't explain it. This is the moment you've both been prepared for. To meet again, not from wounds, but from wisdom. To see each other not through fear, but through truth. The same love that once broke you now becomes the light that rebuilds you. You don't need to chase it or force it. You've already aligned with it. And once two souls reach that level of resonance, the universe cannot hold them apart any longer. The physical meeting is no longer a matter of if, only when. The reconnection has already begun. The communication between hearts is open again. The love that once felt distant is circling back with divine precision. You'll recognize it not by intensity, but by peace, not by longing, but by truth. Because this time, it's not two halves searching, it's two wholes reuniting. Every divine union, before it becomes stable in the physical, must pass through one final test. Not a punishment, a calibration. The universe never brings two souls together just to let old energy ruin what took lifetimes to prepare. So before the union anchors fully, the frequency is tested. The question is never, do you love each other? It's, can your love hold its truth when reality shakes? You may feel it now, a strange tension after the reconnection, a subtle fear creeping in without reason. Doubts, overthinking, flashes of old pain trying to reappear. Don't mistake this for regression. It's your soul checking the foundation. The universe is asking, have you truly learned to love without attachment? Can you stay in peace even when control slips away? This is the stage where many connections falter because they confuse testing with rejection. But the feminine knows better now. She doesn't panic when silence returns for a moment. She doesn't question her worth when the masculine withdraws to process. She understands that love, anchored in ego, cannot survive divine fire. And this fire, the testing, burns only what's false. The masculine, too, feels this shift. He's facing mirrors that challenge his growth, temptations to fall back into old habits, opportunities to hide, moments where comfort whispers louder than truth. But something in him is different now. He's aware. He recognizes the cycle. He knows that running this time would only delay what his heart is ready to receive. He's beginning to choose discomfort over illusion. That's how the test is passed, through awareness, not perfection. The feminine's role is sacred here. She becomes the still point. Her peace stabilizes the connection while everything else shakes. Her energy says, I trust what's mine won't leave. And that trust becomes the magnetic field that holds everything together. When she chooses faith over fear, the frequency locks. The test begins to dissolve. These trials often manifest as emotional triggers, moments designed to reflect, the last fragments of unhealed energy. A misunderstanding, a delay, a silence. The mind screams, "It's happening again." But the soul whispers, "Respond differently this time." And when you do, when you stay calm instead of chasing, centered instead of collapsing, the entire timeline shifts. This is how the universe measures readiness. Not through effort, but through energy. When the feminine and masculine both remain aligned through uncertainty, the connection graduates from theory to embodiment. Love becomes stable enough to exist in the physical realm without shattering under human pressure. It's also the stage where divine timing becomes visible. Doors begin to open, coincidences feel choreographed. You might see signs that seem impossibly precise. Names, numbers, songs, messages, each one confirming it's aligning. But you're also reminded not to rush, because the moment before manifestation is always the most fragile. The seed has already sprouted. It just needs protection until it breaks the surface. So the universe applies gentle pressure to strengthen, not separate. The masculine is learning responsibility, to act with integrity instead of impulse. The feminine is learning receptivity, to allow without anxiety. Both are learning balance in motion. That is the foundation of lasting union. You might feel emotional waves, sudden calm, followed by random tears. That's the release of resistance. You're being stripped of any vibration that cannot sustain unconditional love. And even though it feels uncomfortable, it's divine proof that the connection is preparing to anchor fully. This is where faith becomes your weapon. It's not about holding on tightly, it's about holding on lightly. The love between you is real, and real love cannot be undone. It can only be refined. Once both souls show the universe they can hold love without fear, the test ends. Not with noise, but with peace. Things begin to flow again. Communication reopens, paths align, hearts relax. And that's when you realize you didn't just survive the test, you became it. You are the embodiment of the lesson. The final cleansing completes, the energy locks in, and the vibration of union becomes unshakable. From this moment on, nothing can unwrite what has been written in the stars. There is a moment when the invisible finally becomes visible, when all the energy, all the lessons, all the tears align into one sacred event, the physical union. It doesn't arrive with thunder. It comes quietly, like dawn after a long night. The shift is so natural that you almost don't realize it's happening. until you look around and see that everything feels lighter, clearer, alive again. This is the moment your soul always knew was coming. It's not about the text, the meeting, or the reunion itself. It's about the frequency that made it possible. Because now, both souls carry the same vibration. Love without fear, connection without control, union without illusion. The mirror has cleared, and what you see reflected back is truth. The feminine stands in grace. She doesn't question why things are moving now. She simply knows they're meant to. Every part of her being feels grounded yet expansive, calm yet excited. She's no longer waiting for the masculine to recognize her. He already does. Not because she demanded it, but because she became recognition itself. Her energy is undeniable now, radiant but peaceful, magnetic but surrendered. That vibration calls him forward effortlessly. The masculine approaches differently this time. His words feel honest, his presence steady. There's no confusion, no rush, no pretense. He doesn't come to fill a void. He comes to share what he's found within himself. This is the sign of true union, when both arrive not from longing, but from wholeness. You'll feel it in the tone of his voice, the stillness of his eyes, the way his energy no longer wavers. He's home, not just with you, but within himself. The first physical contact after the separation carries a silence deeper than words. It's not about what is said, but what is felt. The air thickens, time slows. Every emotion, every lifetime, every prayer seems to meet in that single heartbeat. The soul recognizes itself in another body. It's not two people touching, it's two worlds merging. The universe watches closely in this moment, because this is where heaven meets earth. The divine energy of creation descending into human form. It's the proof that everything you endured had purpose. Every delay, every heartbreak, every tear brought you to this vibration. And now you finally see why it couldn't have happened any sooner. But physical union is not an ending, it's a beginning. A new chapter where love must be lived, not just felt. The work doesn't stop here, it transforms. The feminine continues to anchor light through compassion, and the masculine continues to ground it through action. Together, they form a complete circuit, energy that heals not just them, but everything around them. Your connection now becomes service. Your love becomes frequency. Every word, every choice, every shared moment radiates out into the world as an example of awakened partnership. The relationship no longer feeds the ego. It feeds evolution. The mission begins, not as something external, but as a vibration that others can feel and awaken to. This stage feels peaceful but powerful. You'll notice how life flows easier. Synchronicities multiply, opportunities align. It's as if reality itself starts responding to your combined energy. That's because union is not static, it's creation. Two souls, balanced and awakened, become architects of destiny. Still, the universe protects this phase with care. Only those who've completed the lessons of surrender and faith can sustain it. That's why your patience mattered. The delay was divine design. It ensured your love would be unbreakable once it arrived. Now it's here, not as fantasy, but as embodiment. You can feel it in every breath, every glance, every heartbeat that now syncs in rhythm. The separation is no longer a memory, it's a foundation. The pain became purpose. The waiting became wisdom. And what once felt impossible is now real, standing before you. This is what the universe was preparing you for all along. A love that transcends need, that outlasts time, that vibrates as truth. The mission continues, but the war is over. You are no longer searching for union. You are living it.